So after 13 hours of playing Animal Crossing yesterday, I can tell you these are some things you need to do. So what is up, everybody? Bobby here, the Nintendo Guru, and yeah, the intro's right. I played 13 hours yesterday of Animal Crossing New Horizons, streamed it, played it, loved it. And how did I play for 13 hours? People were asking me this all day through chat, and it's very simple. What I did was I did this test where a couple months ago, I bought Brain Age through the Japanese eShop just to clarify, A, how do I do it, and B, will it be in English? Figured out how to do it, did it in English. So the way to do it was simply, I just set up a Japanese account on my Switch, Japanese profile. Then I went to PlayAsia, bought eShop credit from Japan, went in, bought the game when it went up for pre-order, downloaded it on the system. When it became midnight in Japan, the game was accessible to me here in the United States. So I didn't tell a bunch of people I was doing it or how to do it, because if it didn't work, I didn't want that on my hands, that like, hey, I made you go buy this game early and you can't play it, and if people took off work and all that stuff. So it's neither here nor there. But that being said, so being able to put that much time into it, this might be spoiler stuff. So if you don't want to hear about this, just click it off and maybe come back later or whatever it might be. But this is basically a little quick walkthrough of the beginning of the game and some things that you should possibly be focused on, in my opinions. So I start this game up, I fire it up, and you go through the tutorial section, and then the first things you start to realize are, what do I need to do? And I kept telling people later on in the night, you need to focus on the Nook Miles. The Nook Miles need to be where you put all your energy into, especially coming out the gate. So the catching the fish, the catching the bugs, all the things that we talked about previously in other videos, these all hold true, except there's one thing that you have to do in order to really open things up. Everything feels and is locked behind walls, and how do you get through the progression? And it's unlike typical Animal Crossing games, this is very, you must do things to progress. Like in other Animal Crossing games, you could pick and choose. You didn't have to do the museum. This game, if you don't do the museum, you are literally going to lock yourself out of a good portion of the game. You're not going to be able to get things that you have to have in the game. Now, whether they unlock way further deeper down in the game or not, I don't know. But like for me, out the gates, the way that I did it was, you walk into the tent, you have some fish, you have some bugs, you talk to Tom Nook. Tom Nook takes the first 5 fish and bugs off of your hands, and then you walk in on him talking to somebody on the phone. He's talking to Blathers. He's explaining to Blathers that, like, hey man, we are abundant with all kinds of bugs and fish and critters, and you need to come and open a museum here. So at that, Blathers agrees, and Tom Nook gives you a tent and tells you to go put a tent out someplace. So now you go, you drop the tent. This is where you need to pay a little bit of attention to what you're doing. I basically, every first thing I caught, I was donating to the museum. And the way I was donating was, I was just setting the bugs and the fish outside of the tent area. So then the next day, when the tent opens up, which the next day is 5 a.m. So I started at midnight in Japan, played till 5 a.m. It shifted, next day clicks in, and now Blathers has a tent there. So I go in and I talk to Blathers, and he's like, we need to prove that there's species here. We need to get fossils. We need to get all this stuff. So what I need you to do is, I need you to go across the river to the other side and get fossils. This is where the unlocking happens, because you can't get to the other side of the river until you get the vaulting pole. You're basically stuck in this little area until you get the vaulting pole, and then you can go across the other side of the river and you can start unlocking and getting things, because you can also start then crafting shovels, which then you can start digging up fossils, and it opens the second phase of the island up to you. So you definitely need to go after fossils and things like that, bugs and all that, because it seems like that's the main push in the early goings of the game. They want you to have the museum. They're going to push you in that direction of collecting. So what I did was I lined up, because you can place bugs and fish outdoors. They're not going to fly away like in the past. So you pick place item or place object, and you place the bug or the fish outside. And then the next morning when the tent is open, you go in, you talk to Blathers. He tells you about going across the river. He tells you about the vaulting pole. He tells you about a shovel and all that stuff that you can craft now. He also tells you that you need 15 new items, 15 new critters in order to unlock the museum to its full potential. So now at this point, I just walked outside, picked up all my stuff that I had left there over the course of the day, and went back inside and started giving him. Now, when you hit 15, he locks you out. He won't let you add no more items to it. So again, then you just start stockpiling everything on the outside of the museum. This is key, because I feel like if you don't push on these things, you are going to be very left behind. You're not going to be able to get over the river. You're not going to be able to get the shovel. You're not going to be able to unlock a big portion of this game that you have to unlock. This is all critical. These things are all critical to the progression of the game, and these are things that you're going to have to do at some point or another in order to unlock. Now, again, I don't know where later on down the line, basically what I'm trying to do is cut you days out of your progression. Like, if you don't pay attention to this, right? If you just run around, you're doing Nook Miles, you're trying to pay off your vacation to Tom Nook, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. And this will kind of get you moving a little bit quicker in the proper direction. But that said, I have found and learned throughout the game that the main focus for me has been on the Nook Miles. As whenever I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what do I do next? I just open up my Nook phone, look through the Nook Miles, and especially when you unlock Nook Miles Plus, man, it becomes very Fortnite-esque, where you're getting achievements and things you need to unlock and things you need to beat and different ways you need to do things. This is all pretty awesome to me. This was all fantastic stuff. It's stuff that's going to bring you back day in, day out, day in, day out, to continue to do stuff, to earn these Nook Miles. Then you could take the Nook Miles, or you could buy a ticket, and then you could do the island tours. When you get 2,000 Nook Miles, you could buy a ticket and then go to a random island, which, by the way, you go to the random islands and you can actually invite those characters to your town if you find somebody of your liking. There is so much to this game, and we're going to have so much more to talk about in the coming videos, in the coming days. I am just flabbergasted by this game. We're going to do an impressions video, we're going to do a reactions video, all this stuff we're going to have, we're going to break it all down, but this is the place you want to be. This is the place you want to stay if you are looking for that Animal Crossing content. So please, if you like the video, slap the like button down below, share it with all your friends. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe, hit the bell, follow me, Instagram, Twitter, and on Twitch, @Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.